Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Voice of Youth podcast. This is me, Joshua, along with,
Hi, I'm Nati.
And I'm Reggie.
and for today, we got a good topic that we're going to discuss, that we're going to talk about. But before we even get into that, I want to ask each of us a little icebreaker question. So, which month of the year is the best to you and why? So, I'll start off first. I feel like actually, and the twist is you can't say the month where your birthday's in. You can't say that month. If you do, you have to give a reason for like
Other.
yeah, outside of your birthday. So for me, mm, I'd say December because that's the time where school is like a week, 2 weeks, winter break, you got Christmas, you got Boxing Day. It's just a whole lot of relaxing. Teachers aren't on your case about work and all that. Like especially if you're like in post secondary, you know that like you just have to write a few exams and you're good. So you're chilling. But yeah, December to me one of the best months. What about for you guys?
I probably agree with you, but I'm gonna say May, cause like May is like it's kind of hot too, but like it's not like June. It's not like too
Mm-hmm.
hot, and like you could go outside and chill and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much December and May around there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had good answers, I won't lie. For me personally, I agree with both of you guys, but definitely I'd probably say the best month would be August. Like, although I'm born in August,
Mm-hmm.
no bias, I just feel like August is the best. The reason why is because that's like the peak of summer, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
I don't know, man.
bro, listen,
I
hear
don't
me
know.
out.
I
Like,
don't
yo,
know.
it's cold, obviously. Not cold, it's windy
Mm-hmm.
some days, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when sunshine comes out, it's like amazing. And then plus it's like, it leads into fall. You get to wear, you know what I mean, hoodies, jackets, get all cozy.
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
not
man.
necessarily wearing jackets in August, but you
I
get what
don't
I'm
know
trying to
about
say.
that, man. For me, my birthday's in July, and I was gonna say, to me, July is the peak of summer.
I mean,
July is the peak. July is like
wow, the
that's
peak of
when
summer.
all events happen. Oh, you're a
Your
hater, eh?
birthday month, yeah, the peak of summer. I
But
mean,
nah,
what a
it's, everything
coincidence.
happens.
I'm
If you're
just
in
saying.
Toronto, Afrofest, Carabana,
Oh, that's true.
you can't deny that. All
That's
like
true.
the like taste of this that like those like food events that
Oh, like at
happens on the weekend.
CNE during like August, basically.
Man, he don't get it, man. But
Bruh.
you know what? We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going forward. So I'm gonna start with the first question, and that is: do you feel like your voice is heard? What do
Like, what
you
do you
guys
mean?
feel about that? So I'll go into like different sub questions. So do you feel like as a young person your voice is heard? So just in your current state, um, let's say like in your community to start off with, do you feel like your voice is heard in your community? Do you feel like um, like people hear you, all people acknowledge you and all that? Like, what do you guys feel?
For me, definitely, I feel like it's a combination of like yes and no, because like within the community realm, it's like obviously as you guys are close, as you guys are united, like there's that title of respect that's given where it's like okay, these people are our future, right? This is like the next generation. These people are our young people, right? So, like in terms of like having that support within the community, like I feel like a lot of like older people genuinely like want to know what's on the mind of young people, right? To see like okay, like are these like set of young people like drifting away? You know what I mean? Where's their minds at? And obviously there's that backlash where it's like when young people do vocalize their voices, it's not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
heard all the way because elderly people or people born in a different generation. What is it like? I don't know the generation structure. It's
Yeah,
like Gen Z. There's what is it?
like
Boomers,
millennials.
millennials, millennials. You know what I mean?
Can't even say that, man.
All that type of stuff. Like the fact that like there's different structures, right? We're all
Mm-hmm.
born in different
Like
time,
zones
yeah,
and all
time zones
that.
exactly. So like there are certain times where like young people speak out and older people generally wouldn't understand because they grew up in a different time frame where things were different in their era, right? But like in terms of now speaking, like I'd probably say more times young people do have a voice because look all over like the media, you know what I mean? It's like social media is like predominantly dominated by young people, like you know what I mean? All that type of stuff. But yeah, that's just my take on it. I feel like it's a mixture of like both, like in terms of yeah, they have a voice, but if you're talking about within like specific community realms, like their voices may not be heard all the way because other people already have their mind set to like certain structures that they grew up on, and yeah, they just can't really comprehend the mix. But yeah,
Yeah, and even just to like say something really quick, like what you said about like older people, and um, yeah, like how they view like younger people and like what they say and how much weight that has. Like I agree with that because like don't get me wrong, like young people don't always know everything, but there's always like that
exactly.
stigma that like oh like when you're young it's just like
Mm-hmm.
your your points like your words like your say so doesn't really matter because like you're not at that age or you're not at that point in life where you know enough or like you
Exactly.
know what you're talking about. In some cases, in some topics, like it is understandable, it is true, but I feel like generally, like a lot of young people get written off
Oh, for
like
sure.
very quick because of like that age maturity, like type of focus. You know what I mean? So I agree with you said with that. But yeah, you got anything, Nadi?
Well, I feel like nowadays people have to like prove something to everyone, like their worth, and like people should listen to them and stuff like that. Also, young people, because I don't know, but some people just think young people are just like in their own world,
Mm-hmm.
just thinking what their own thing and stuff like that. I don't know. I just feel like young people, I mean, older people think that they know more than young people, even though they don't see our side. But pretty much it. Like I don't think you should be able to prove yourself. Like your worth, just to share your voice, because we all have our own sides and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
No, for sure. Like even to add on my own part, like I feel like it just depends. I feel like there's certain areas where young people's voice is heard and certain areas where it's not. I can't really give a specific example right now, but um, I guess like for me, like my own personal experience, I felt like it's always been like both ways um, on how my voice is heard, especially like in my community. I feel like it's not too bad. I feel like my voice is relatively heard, depending on like obviously the area in your community and whatnot. But I do agree with with what one of you guys said about like the growing pace of young people's voices being heard and now the impact. I think you said like about social media,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how it's like obviously it's targeted towards young people and those social media platforms are now allowing more young people to freely speak
Exactly.
about certain things and everyone's taking notice of it, to be honest. And you know I think older people are realizing that like we're also not only in tune with what's going on now, but there's also young people that do their research too. Like there's young people
Exactly.
that do their research about the past, and so like they know things, and the internet allows that. Like
Exactly.
back in the day, it's kind of hard to get like that knowledge and information of the past, but now as young people, it's like we could easily like go on the internet, go on Google, search it up, find like articles, books, whatever you want, and just like be able to access like whatever we need.
Yeah.
Literally.
But no, like I agree. Like I feel like young people's voices are growing though. But for me personally, it depends on the area. But yeah, it was a
That's a
good
good
answer
point.
though.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick point.
So I'm gonna go on to the next question. So, how do you think people with power should be using their voice, especially with racism and anti-hate?
Man, this question, bro. Like, the thing is, with that question you just asked, there's so much people out there who feel like they're already using their voice appropriately with racism and hate. Because like just like to piggyback on the social media topic, where like young people are, you know what I mean, pretty much speaking out on social media. They're the ones mainly out there speaking. There are a lot of like celebrities, a lot of like public figures out there who feel like they're doing the right thing, but they don't really consider or reflect on their actions. You know what I mean? Whereas like they'll speak out about a certain topic dealing with anti-racism or pretty much related to like racism going on, but for instance, like you take your average rapper, you know what I mean, who's out here talking about gang violence, putting, you know what I mean, a hole in another like black guy's head or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of defeats the purpose of you speaking out about like justice going on. I mean, injustice going on, and speaking out about like, you know what I mean, violence occurring when you're the one promoting it, right? It's
Yeah.
like you say, okay, like, you know what I mean, racism should end. You know what I mean? Like police, like white police folks should stop killing black people. But your lyrics literally like paint the narrative and pretty much endorse the behavior of like, you know, violence occurring within black community by you saying, oh, I'm gonna drill this or catch this black guy slipping, do this, do that. You know what I mean? So then it's like when they go out to speak out, it's like their words are air. You know what I mean? It's pretty much like air coming out of a balloon, where it's like it's pointless. It doesn't hold weight, right? Because you're not living up to it, right? It's like you're saying we need to do this, we need to start doing that. Like
Yeah.
police need to stop doing that, da 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 to my people, but you're the same person targeting your people as well, you know? So I don't know. Like with that question, like there's a lot of confusion where people feel like they're doing something, like, you know what I mean? In terms of like, I'll give you an example with the whole like, you know, Kanye West situation with the, you know, Yeezy thingy that occurred. I don't even know the full context of it, but like with the whole like racism thingy, like I seen someone like Boozy like speak out about it by saying like, yo, Kanye is canceled, this and that, you're a disgrace to black people for saying white lives matter, da 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 da. But then it's like when you go look at Boozy's music, like I don't know if you would know who Boozy is, Natty, because you know you're very young. But like when you go listen to Boozy's music, this guy's the same guy talking about, you know, killing this person, killing that person, you know, and then yeah, you're speaking out on another man, like
Just
saying,
hate on hate.
yeah, it's hate on
on
hate, pretty much in a sense, but doesn't need to be like that, honestly, because you know what I mean. At the end of the day, black, white, bigger picture is that like obviously although there's different races, we have to come to a mutual understanding that we're all one race, which is the human race. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So until people actually understand that, I feel like then like things would shift in terms of like actually progression and addressing anti-racism and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that's a good answer. I'm gonna touch on a little bit of things that you said too, but now, do you have anything you want to say?
Nah, but he said everything. But basically, yeah, basically like you said everything. People with power on it, like sometimes they could get cocky stuff. You know, like they could be like, no, their mentality is like, oh, I'm atop the world. You know, I'm better than everyone else and stuff like that. So that could drive them away from doing positive stuff, or you know, just getting a little bit more cocky and stuff. But I just think that they should, you know, just mind what they're doing, and just even though they think they're on top of the world, they can help other people. You know, cause yeah, a lot of people need help and stuff. So yeah.
No, 100%. I agree with you guys the same. Yeah, I feel like people in power should be one, they should be mindful of like the power of their voice and how much influence that they have. But I feel like they should like really practice and like actually, you know, like actually using their voice, because like
Incorporate,
some
yeah.
people know they have influence and power, but what I'm trying to say is like I feel like some people shy away
For sure.
because they might not know how to address certain things. They might not want to get in certain like problems or like things come, you know, like if you speak about this, like now people look at you as this, or like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just have that attention, and I feel like certain
Exactly.
people might not want that attention, but honestly, like there's so many different ways that you could be using their power, like social media. You know, knowing how to speak on social media, um, can like really help gravitate the attention of so many different people. You know, different forms of art, like, you know, music and poetry, um, just whatever it is. Like honestly, like it's not very difficult, in my opinion. It's just it is a lot of boldness. It is a lot of like knowledge and understanding you need to have.
Yeah.
You know, on how to speak to certain people, on speaking about what you're talking about and everything. But yeah, I feel like people should be, at least in terms of gravitating to young people of the generation, social media is like an easy thing where, you know, people, or even like YouTube, like podcasts, like YouTube videos, whatever it is, like having those discussions, having those topics, um, where you can just like, you know, voice out positivity about something.
Exactly. It's
Because like we all see racism happen, we all see different forms of, you know, discrimination and whatnot. And like what you said with the Boosie example, is like people use their voice and they they say negative things.
exactly.
They don't say the most positive things. And what I can do is like cause a certain group of people, or whoever like they're like speaking to, like it can cause them to turn away because they're offended.
Exactly.
They feel like, you know, like you're just getting at them, and it doesn't feel like a conversation and
Yeah.
whatnot. But it's like when you go on like if you go on like a YouTube video, like you have like a YouTube discussion, like have a podcast, and you really break down and give people insight about your mind and
Exactly.
lay out details, and like, you know what I mean. You guys already know how it is. Like
Yeah.
just speaking in the right way and using your platform the right way. I feel like so much people could have so much like, you know, um, just power in their voice.
100%.
Um, and yeah, like I like the point you said about like, you know, the human race. Like honestly, like as a Christian, it's like God made us in His image. God made us as, you know,
Yeah.
one people, and it's just like the negative things that happen in the world. Um, yeah, just like the corrupt perspectives that you have on different people cause us to look at each other different. Honestly, like we need to work to dismantle
Yeah.
looking at people different, because it's good and bad in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not just like this group is bad and this group is good and whatever the case is. Anywhere you look in life, through the people, places, wherever, there's good and bad in every situation.
Facts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go on to this question. Um, how can this podcast help our voice and message get across to everyone in the city or the world?
That's a good question.
I mean, I think podcasts are very important. You know, you can share your ideas with people beside you and with the world. Um, you know, you could relate with other people and stuff like that. But I think it's important to have this kind of talk because, you know, we could learn. You know, we could learn things, and we can also learn things about each other too and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I this is my second time or third time doing a podcast, and it really opened my mind about you know this community and this generation and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really grateful. Yeah, I hope you guys learn stuff too and stuff. So that's pretty much what I think.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's a good example. That's a good example for sure. Definitely, I'd say like for me, like kind of relates to what Nadi said, but like with this podcast, I feel like it opens up a door for like a listening ear. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
people view things from like different perspectives, right? And that's why you see like so many like podcasts blow up and become so successful. It's because of, you know what I mean, certain questions that arise that really haven't been addressed, and like kind of like it has a a correlation to what people actually go through. So when people hear topics like these expressed, and they know that this is a topic that they relate to or connect to or always had questions about, and they hear other people's insights, like it allows them to just be actively like thinking, you know? It's kind of like an activator where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like I never seen this from this perspective, or
Mm-hmm.
that's so crazy how like this person thinks like that. I think like that as well,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it kind of allows you to be reassured about, okay, maybe you aren't genuinely going crazy with your own thoughts, like especially if you have nobody to vent to about or talk to about or even have these conversations to sit down and talk to. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah, like I feel like this podcast can do a lot of great things. You know, there's a lot of people who probably watching this look like us,
Mm-hmm.
can relate to our situation, just like the type of community that we've lived in. You know, being stereotyped, being just having like discrimination like
Mm-hmm.
pushed on, and you know, reason why I say those things because it's like people who could be in our position. I'm not speaking for everyone, but everyone has their own feelings because of, you know, situations and outcomes that have happened with their own personal experience of racism. Maybe they view a certain group in a distinct way.
Yeah.
Maybe they have certain feelings towards just anything, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
anything that has really just been, um, yeah, just oppressive to them.
Exactly.
And my whole point is just like with this podcast is like you have, if you're watching this and you know you can relate to any one of us in any type of way, like, you know, you can understand that like having this mindset of just like discrimination, racism, just like having differences with people is like can allowing it to continue to grow is not gonna push society in a proper way. And there has to be a change. And to be honest, you know, you really gotta educate yourself, one,
Yeah.
first and foremost. And two is just like you gotta have these honest conversations and really like open up within yourself. Because a lot of people are like battling, you know, emotions, feelings,
Exactly.
of just like how they've been mistreated. And that's why you see all these hateful acts and messages be spread across back and forth through different groups. And it's like there has to be an end to it. And you know, one, you need to have you need to have these conversations to let out your emotions. But then two, like you also need to just like, yeah, like be honest with yourself and work on changing your mind, changing your perspective. And like I said before, having the reality that like there's good and bad everywhere. And ultimately, like, again, like for me as a Christian, like we're called to love one another. You know what I mean? Maybe not everyone will love you back, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you have to, you know,
Change who you are. In
yeah,
a
change who
sense.
you are, like fight with fire.
Mhm.
It's like do the opposite. Like show people, you know, who you really are. Prove them wrong of who,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
like people look at me like through like school and work throughout my life, like people always had this perception about me, um, you know, in a hateful way because of my appearance and how I look and whatnot. But I always just kept true to myself. I always show people love. I always show people respect. And, you know, I've had different moments in my life where people are like, yo, like I looked at you this way,
Mm-hmm.
or like you changed my perspective because of like I had this type of um,
Perspective or image.
knowledge and understanding about like this type of group. When I see you, like you're just doing the
Yeah.
opposite and whatnot. And so, yeah, like honestly, with this podcast, like, yeah, hopefully, like all you guys are watching it, like, yeah, just really be, you know, willing to have these conversations with people who are knowledgeable, people who have their own experience of racism, and yeah, like really just have forgiveness in your heart. Really just have grace in your heart, and allow forgiveness and grace to just like change the way our society is working right now. Because like if we keep battling with hate and with yeah, if we keep battling with hatred against each other, it's just like it's a never ending battle, you know. And so someone has to humbly take the L. Someone has to change the direction of like, you know, where everything's going in order to lead to something greater.
Yeah.
So yeah. You guys have any comments, anything you guys want to add?
That was deep. That was deep for sure. Especially the point you made about like staying true to yourself. I feel like that's a big one because I feel like we live in a generation where, you know, obviously hurt people, but like as long as you're always true to yourself, you don't conform to the majority or the mass. It's like a lot of people will start to look at you different and like really, really like respect you and like pretty much find different things unique about you because why? You're separating yourself from a different crowd, right? But it's like when you blend in, you're pretty much like fitting into the statistic in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But when you know what you're doing, like especially as you touch base, like as a Christian, as a believer, it's like, you know, you're only following God, you're following Jesus, right? So at the end of the day, it's like when people look at you, that's a reflection of Christ's love, right? In the sense of how I look at it. So like, you know, staying true to yourself is so key, especially like in the world that we live in where like people are putting up a front of who they really are because there's so much like hurt behind closed doors. There's so much like wounds. There's so much like healing that needs to be occurring, right? And then it's like when you see social media pretty much like, you know, promoting that type of stuff where it's like, oh, you just got to be cold hearted or you got to do this or you got to do that. Because at the end of the day, it's like nobody really loves you or nobody really like is for you. That's a lie, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, God's really for you at the end of the day, I feel like. But yeah, that really was deep.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one more thing, but you have anything to say, Nadu?
Nah, we covered up pretty much everything. I really like this talk. You know, like you said, it's deep. You know, I learned new stuff. Honestly, yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, and like just to wrap it up very quickly, I just want to say this last thing. Like I know it's people who have been through real experience, and I'm not trying to water it down and make it seem like it's easy to let go of that, you know, that bitterness, that history of mistreatment and racism that was happening towards you. Like I'm not trying to like make it sound like it's an overnight thing. It's gonna take time. Sometimes it's gonna take months, years, however long. But my whole point is like if you have that built up emotions, if you have that unforgiveness, you know, deep rooted inside your heart, it's like the saying how like you're drinking poison expecting for someone else to get hurt, or when you're doing like a lot of unforgiveness, it's just like you're in imprisonment to yourself. It's like
Exactly.
you're just locking yourself in a cage, and you can be free, you know, from that bitterness by letting go, but like you're locking yourself in that. Um, and yeah, like there's a lot of people who are smart. There are a lot of people who have a lot of influence. Like be really bold and be really thoughtful and like really speaking up because you never know what type of power that your voice has. You never know
Yeah.
what type of change that you can have, and most importantly, you never know who's watching. For the younger generation especially, like be an influence to them, be empowering to them, because younger generations always look at the older generation, and you know what you do today can change history for the years to come for younger generations. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know we went through different lanes and avenues through this discussion, but I really like this talk. I thought, um, yeah, like it started off good and it got a little serious, and you know that's just how it goes when you're doing a podcast. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Um, yeah, I got nothing else to say. We're just gonna sign off. Hope you guys have a good day. All right,
All right, later.
later.